to order. Roll call starting from my left.
Sue Krieger.
Melissa Rhodes.
Jill Reese.
Paul Piccolini.
All right. We will entertain nomination to chair the meeting.
I nominate Jill.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Or another nomination? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Move on to number 3, certify posting of the meeting.
I certify that on Monday, March 13th, the agenda for the Town of Rome Parks and Rec Committee meeting for Monday, March 20th was posted it was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 1:10 p.m. It was posted at the Rome Town Hall at 1:15 p.m., posted at Quick Trip LLC at 3:55 p.m., and posted at Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Sue. Number 4, approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Citizen comments. I see no citizens, so
No comment cards.
we will skip that one. Moving on to number 6, reports on park planning and activities. Update park planning activities, construction update. Nothing?
Nothing from the last meeting. Still on schedule for April 17th or around the 3rd week of April for a restart.
All right, nothing new there. Link the Lakes update.
So our next big piece in this is applying for the TAP grant, the Transportation Alternatives Program grant, and that's due this Friday. Lisa has been doing the heavy lift on this, so very appreciative. We've gotten great feedback from DOT, and we'll hopefully have the application in tomorrow ahead of schedule. So, and we did get a joint letter of support from Senator Patrick Teston and Representative Krug to include in our application, and a letter of support from, a resolution of support from town board, so we're hopeful. And that would be 80, if we did receive it, it would be 80% of the funding for phase 1 of the project.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions on Link the Lakes?
Just to verify, so April 17th is the projected start date
For the band shell, yep.
for the band shell?
Yep.
Okay,
Restart date.
restart, okay.
Okay. Approval of the meeting minutes of the February 13th meeting. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Moving on to number 8, grants. WEDC Vibrant Spaces grant due January 31st. Do we have an update on that?
I did have a contact with our regional coordinator for WEDC, and she let us know that we are still in consideration. So that was good. Hopefully we'll hear positive news.
Okay. And then the AARP Community Challenge.
I don't believe that we've heard anything back on that one, but Bob did file that application.
It's filed, okay. Outdoor Recreation Legacy Program due April 10th.
I think we'll finalize that one once Bob comes back.
Okay. And then the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Grant due May 1st.
Yes, so we need to have a conversation with the grants committee on that one, because we did ask Knowles Nelson, could we submit more than one grant? And they said yes, but they like them combined into the same grant, which might be difficult if you have two totally different projects. So they didn't say that you couldn't submit more than 2, but they like them in one application. And we had somewhat a request or an idea about potentially submitting one so we could get a handicap here, someplace in town, but that certainly couldn't go at Rome Town Center. So we have to kind of sort out how we might, if we did group them, how we'd group them.
Okay.
And one more thing to add on the grants area, I do know that Visit Rome, if we're gonna do any grants for anything, let's say clearing or anything, they're due by April 15th for that for the first quarter.
Yep, and then, is it October? When's the second time? There's twice a year.
I'm not sure.
I thought it was October.
But like if we wanted to start anything, but I don't know that we would before then or not, but just so,
Yeah, I'm gonna look quick to see when I knew April 15th, October 15th, yep.
April 15th. Yeah, because Lisa even made the comment that if like we wanted to start on the clearing or we wanted to start on something, there's no reason we couldn't get a grant to get started.
Anything else on grants? All right, moving on. Discussion and possible action on the following items. Number 9, Walden Park shoreline planting, site prep, water sprinkler, and maintenance.
Okay, we met on March 1st with Dave Trudeau and Jamie and I. We are all working on getting some numbers together, and we're gonna meet back on April 5th at the park, Walden Park at 4:15. I don't know, do we wanna go through the whole, do you want me to read the whole list?
I don't know that you have to. We did these, what you have, the set of notes minutes is from that subcommittee. Melissa did a great job putting together all the stuff that we talked about and highlighting where we were assigned, which I super appreciated.
Yeah.
So if committee members wanna attend the 5th, anyone's welcome. We'll notice that meeting so they could, but you're gonna start at the park that day and then come here.
Do you want any updates, or do you wanna hold them till then?
We could do, if we had specific updates.
I just have one that Kevin Powell with Powell Plumbing spoke with the DNR for us. He's got a contact there, and he said that water can be pumped from the lake, but the hose has to be removed daily, or like if you do put it in, you could probably remove it the next morning. So he did say an electrical pump is better than a gas pump, but you could get by with a gas pump if you needed to. And he's working on getting us some rough pricing together, just rough pricing to get a budget together.
So you can't leave it in the lake,
The hose.
the hose?
Yeah.
So somebody's has to run out and,
And we're not only gonna
Physically.
water it maybe once or twice a week anyways, right? You're not gonna water it every day.
I think it would depend on what kind of weather we have the year we plant it too,
True.
a little bit. I mean, if we had a really dry season, it might be
the
like
heat
every
of the
other-
summer on
Yeah.
the sand, you'll wanna do it every day.
Okay.
But I bet they don't want backflow back into the lake, right? That's why you probably have to take.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that was all about, but yeah, he just said that you had to remove the hose daily. Which is doable. Then you don't have to do a sand point. Otherwise, the only other option is a sand point,
Right.
which they're not terribly expensive. I mean, but there's a minimum depth you have to go down for those, so. But he's pretty helpful, so if we have any questions, I can always call Kevin at Powell Plumbing and,
So the
help
rough
us out.
cost you have on here for the sprinkler system and pump, does that include the sand point or not? You have $10,000 for,
I do believe it was for the sand point and the pump. And I believe everything, like sprinklers and everything.
The sand point would make more sense because it's permanent. You don't have to be pulling the hose in and out all the time, so.
Yeah, but we only need this for 2 years. That's the only other thing. And then after that, they don't have to be watered anymore.
Well, you
yeah, but
might,
you're scheduling volunteers all summer long for 2 years to go and,
Yep.
and pull.
well, if you got a sand point, you could also put it on a timer.
Yes.
And this way here, you wouldn't have to have the volunteers out there all the time. If it's on a timer, it'll, go on and off when you need it.
Long-term, could a sand point be used like as a pump at a
That's what I
park?
was thinking,
I mean,
too.
I think
So
people
much
would
fun.
kind
Yeah,
of
wash your
think it's cool. One of
wash
our
your
parks
feet off.
has
Exactly.
a pitcher pump, whatever you call it.
Yep, you wash your feet off and your hands, or you rinse your kayak off.
Long-term, it'd be cool to have that if you
Right.
can.
Makes more sense. Where's the electric at that they would,
We're looking into that yet, too. We have none.
do we know whether is any close by at all, one of their boxes or?
It's not a box, they have a line through there. They'd have
Okay.
yeah. I don't have a price yet from ACEC, but we're gonna get a price for them to draw it in.
Right,
cool.
well, that'd
So
be
it
good.
runs
Long
right by
as-
there. That
As
shouldn't
long
be
as they
bad.
got a line through there, we don't have to bring it from a far distance and then it'll be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, and I would like to see electric there anyways for like a street light or something, so. But
Right.
we'll have to see if that's the way we decide to go, but it'd be nice to have some kind of lighting there. If somebody gets back late at night.
We just priced out a yard light. The ACEC doesn't call them street lights for us, they call them yard lights.
Yep.
But we just priced it out and it, like, the electricity is like $22 a month.
Okay,
But it likely would be like a dusk to dawn, kind of, it would come on when the sun would go down. But then we'd have to budget that in our operations on an
Okay.
annual basis, if we did have a light out there.
I know mine's $11 a month, but that might be because I'm residential.
Could be, and we would be considered municipality or commercial.
Yep. Okay,
I also don't know if the wattage is the same, maybe it's a different
true,
wattage if it's higher, cause it needs more power to,
yep. Okay.
Okay. Anything else on the Walden Park shoreline planting? Thank you for all that work.
You did do a nice job on the report on
The
that.
only other thing would be, did you get any updates from,
I have not heard from Alex yet.
Okay.
Not sure if it's weather related or what, but I'll reach out to him again and see if,
yeah, cause depending on where we are, once it's ready to go in, maybe we would hold off and putting it, well,
ours won't be till next year.
yeah, it won't. So even if we had to take it out, we could leave the dock in, and so people could utilize it this year.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking when they do the excavating on the slope, does it make sense just to pull that dock out so we know it's not gonna get hit or damaged, or we're not gonna have people coming through when we're trying to get the seed established?
Did we find out if it's feasible to do the path or not?
So, I guess we'll have to, we did find out that in the permeable pavers, say that 3 times fast, would count for ADA compliance, but you still would have to follow the slope. We would have to determine if our slope was cost prohibitive but we wouldn't have to pour concrete or blacktop. We could use the permeable pavers and make it ADA compliant. Then the grass would like grow up between and we would just mow over the top of that.
oh, I like that idea.
But yeah, it would probably have to be zigzagged.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of pavers, I'm sure.
Well, it's not so much that as, is it going to,
Detract from the
people having to go like,
planting.
or not that, but people having to, do so much. I mean, I'd like to see it, but I just,
The point of it, I guess. I don't-
yeah, but so we came up with another idea, maybe down at Twin Lakes,
Yeah.
doing those pavers out, and maybe that's a straight shot out.
Yeah, that's real gradual, not,
And
Maybe
then if you did the handicap pier, you could do the pavers out to the handicap pier there.
Yeah.
Which would be nice.
Yeah.
I like that idea better.
Yeah. We'd like to have a spot. If it's not
Yes.
this spot, a spot.
Yeah. It'd be nice, I just don't know if it'll work with this one. I mean, we'll have to see. We got time
Okay.
to figure it out.
Good, yes. All right, anything else on that? Moving on to number 10, disc golf. MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, the school, school input or approval. So what's our update for that?
Okay, well, I met with Terry on Friday, and Terry Whitmore, and he gave us the document with their comments that their lawyer had reviewed. And so then Jamie had our attorney look at it, and he had a couple questions. I don't know, Jamie, if you wanted to.
Yep. Sometimes Jamie opens too many emails. So she's just going to that.
Okay.
Just going to that email.
He was very enthusiastic overall. They're looking forward to having this go forward, and they also were looking forward to working with us in getting it going, and so it was a good meeting.
So
Excited.
Nick's two comments would be on number 3, use, second paragraph. Doesn't have concerns with the adjustment of language, although it is in sole discretion as it's used here. still is subject to following the town's process and procedure for reservation. Therefore, we would still require advance notice or planning. You just wanted to note that, but
Yep.
didn't have issues. And then item number 8, removal of trail upon termination. That they added language about restoration of paths that are already in the area, but just, he had the question, are there paths that we would have to put back if the agreement was terminated? We're aware that there were paths in there.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing any.
Yeah,
Just the ones the deer have made.
yeah, I don't know that
Yeah.
those are,
I think they cut some before, but that would just be,
Yeah, but it hasn't
yeah.
been maintained.
nope. Mm-mm.
so maybe just if we, pointing out that we weren't aware of any paths, so they would have to maybe be more specific, if like they wanted us to restore paths, they'd have to maybe be more specific where those paths were if, I don't know that we're gonna take them out either, right?
Right, yeah.
So, aside from that, Nick did, ask about the comments that were on here. Just to clarifying if the comments reflected that they still needed to talk about it or it was talked about. Sue already clarified that with the school district. Those comments have been talked about, so they can be deleted. So town attorney is comfortable with accepting their track change language. If we're comfortable with the track change language, then we could move this forward to town board.
Yes.
Yeah, there was nothing major that they were looking at as far as changes that they made, right?
No, there wasn't. Those were the two big items. They were fine with the terms. They had some capitalizations, they capitalized improvements, things like that, minor grammatical.
Yeah, like trails was not capital in one
Yeah,
spot, but it
yeah.
was in the other.
Yeah. And so substance-wise,
Yeah.
they were in agreement.
Yeah, and maybe we just ask them for, if there are established trails there, for them to just give us a map so we know, especially if if we build over the top of them. But I don't know that there are established trails. I mean, we've all walked it, right? And
Right.
Yeah, we couldn't
There's
find a
nothing
trail.
out there. I mean, that you can barely tell there's a parking lot.
Right, there wasn't any trails put in there when they did the work over there. So I mean, unless they can really come up with a map showing a trail, trails that were there, I think that we should not worry about it too much.
So they would need to allow us to change that language.
No, we just wanna note it that, so it just references restoration of paths upon termination, if the agreement would terminate. And so just, I don't think that we are uncomfortable with making sure that those paths that are there now would stay there, would be there if we terminated the agreement. We just would wanna make sure we knew where they were.
I thought
Right.
that,
Okay.
when I read that, I thought that meant the ones we put in.
That was kind of what I was looking
Oh,
at too.
Not theirs, but
Not
ours.
theirs, ours. So if
Where
they,
is that one? We
if
can
they
read
want
it.
it, it's on
Number
number
8.
8.
That's the way I read it.
Yeah.
Removal of trail upon termination. Upon termination of this agreement, the town at its sole cost shall remove improvements from the licensed area and restore, including
To natural area, okay.
property as nearest, yeah, which I don't think they're gonna make us do. I think that's what that meant.
I agree.
Okay. Edit language references restoration of past areas upon termination determined to be done. My only question would be whether or not there is actually any path areas in the parcel. Okay. But, yeah, and they don't, if the comments are deleted, I think if
Yeah.
we would be comfortable tonight, someone could make a motion that this would get forwarded to the town board for approval. We would accept the track changes and forward.
Okay. I recommend that we approve the changes as stood by the Nacusa School Board and move this to the town board for final approval.
So you're making a motion?
I'm making a
Do
motion.
we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we can forward that to the town board. Awesome, thanks for all your work.
So now can we do a subcommittee
You can.
and get to the fun stuff?
I think that's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, I just would, if you just wanna note in the minutes like we did before, that Parks would establish a subcommittee to help work through the details now that once the MOU is approved by the town board and also signed by the school district. And then, I don't know who, if there are individuals interested to serve, then we would find a date and time.
Okay. So, once the town board and the school district sign off on it, we can establish a committee. Got it.
Excellent. Anything more on that?
No,
I don't think so. Once we have the we can have the subcommittee, I'm sure we'll have a lot more information.
Are there, do we, taking just interest, are there, who would like to join a subcommittee?
I know we've talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know there was some community interest too, which is
Yeah.
also nice.
Yes.
And I think
Michelle.
we'll need some input from draft as far as the paths and hiking trails to make sure that that meets that need.
Absolutely, yeah, that, we keep that in our meetings, we update every meeting, so everybody's very interested in
Awesome.
moving forward on that.
We could ask at an upcoming draft meeting though, if someone would like to join a subcommittee too, if there'd be a
Yep.
member that wanted to volunteer.
Yeah, we'll bring that up. We have a draft meeting on Thursday.
Okay. And I mentioned to Terry also if they wanted to have a representative from the school district join us. So I think we'd, just keep them apprised of
Yeah.
when it meets. If They wish to.
And then too about the email from Lisa
Yeah.
that I looked up this
did
disc
too.
golf experience, and to me it sounds more like he's a designer.
Yeah, that's what I got
I
out
didn't
of
see
it,
any
too.
grants in that area, so I think we got to get more information on the grant matching program. Because disc golf experience sounded like they were a designer. So, but we can work on that as we go.
Yeah, and it might be best once the subcommittee's formed, maybe putting together some sort of RFP to get proposals on,
Yep.
on design, then you would get multiple different.
That's a great idea. Because I know Michelle's got one in mind, and Michelle Peterson has someone in mind, and this
It
would be
seems
someone
like there's a
different.
lot of interest, so it's worth it to put it out there, I think, to get more.
And just to stay competitive on our pricing
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll get a date thrown out once we have the agreement approved and,
Okay. Sounds good.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Moving on to number 11, Memorials Policy Review and Forward to Plan Commission.
So Plan Commission talked about the memorial policy at their meeting last week. The items that are in here essentially memorialize, no pun intended. What's part of Plan Commission duties, right? Cause if it was outside of a park area and if it was essentially an off-site sign, those things would still go to plan. So they did provide input, but the recommendation for the final draft of the policy would really come from Parks. They did make one change, to item number 2, letter B. Under subsection I, they changed it to public service, so it's the town of Rome's cultural, social, economic, public service, or architectural history. That was the only change that they had suggested, otherwise they've reviewed this. So if Parks Committee is also okay with that change and okay with the policy, this also could take a motion to be recommended to town board for approval and add it to town policy.
Well, that's good. That's not a lot of changes that we have to review. Does anybody have any problems or questions on the draft that we have in front of us right now?
No.
We talked at, Plan Commission about, that the two that we have approved, we would have them fill out the form, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Both for, well, it's 3 with Snow Bandits, but then with draft 2. We'll still have you fill out the form once it's approved so we can have it on file.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we send it on to the board.
A second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. can send that policy forward to the town board and move on to number 12. Determine plans to update, revise our comprehensive outdoor recreation plan.
So at the last meeting, we talked about reaching out to some of our other resources, one being the North Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, who is also doing the update for Adams County Outdoor Rec Plan. And I did get a price from them, and it was $7,500 for an update. So we do have two prices for that service now. It would be either them at 75 or the one that we got from Jeff Saunders was like 7,000 and some. Just looking for that attachment.
But the other one is more familiar.
The Jeff did our previous one from Community Planning and Consulting.
$7,028.
Yep. And not that we necessarily need to decide today, but it would be time to, to work through an update. I'm happy to call some additional, but I think we wanted to try North Central again because
And that comes out of our parks budget.
it comes out of our parks budget.
Well, they're both right in the ballpark there. I guess maybe we need to decide which would serve us better.
I'm not familiar enough with them, so
I recall working with Jeff last time. Everything went really smooth.
Yeah.
Um,
And I could ask North Central for I asked for an estimated price. I didn't ask for, Jeff put together the full proposal with like action items and meetings, which I had distributed previously. I could ask for them to detail out more, itemize the 75.
So that we could actually compare the two and make sure we're getting
Yeah.
the same thing.
Because Jeff does have, he has 4 meetings. 2 are virtual and 2 would be in person for the court.
I would like to see a proposal from both people to itemize what they're going to give us for the money that we're going to pay them, so that we can look one against the other and see which would be more valuable.
I could ask for for it to be itemized out.
Okay, we'll wait and see then what they give us for that. Is everybody okay with that? Any more on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on to number 13, start planning for pickleball courts. Determine number of courts and whether lighting is necessary. Revise cost estimate.
I'm thinking that's why Mr. Blair joined us. Could it be?
Mr.
Are
Pickleball.
you our expert on pickleball courts
Mr. Pickleball.
for number 13?
I would certainly offer any.
You want to come up to the mic, just so folks can hear?
I doubt you can hear me.
For those that have to.
Okay,
Just adjust the mic one more time. Yep. Okay.
so do you have some specific input for us on number of courts, whether lighting is necessary? Or anything else you'd like to add?
Like a virgin in the woods here. I saw the agenda item and I thought somebody should probably be here.
We do have a preliminary plan. We had a plan. And it was how many courts?
It was 2 courts.
2 courts.
2 courts that would be lined for either tennis or pickleball.
Right. And our initial plan, that we were told to change the direction, weren't we? Because of the
Sun.
sun,
You have to go north-south.
north-south. Okay.
We had them east-west and we were asked
Okay.
to change to north.
Okay, so we've got that right. Right now, they're located between the band shell and the splash pad, tentatively. So what else do we need to talk about?
is this covered in our existing budget or is this gonna be
this is gonna be additional year budgets, right? I don't know that it is not all funded right now, no.
Okay.
Well, and I think maybe that's why we were talking about it, cause there may be grants out there that we need to
There is potentially, but I think, there's potentially, right?
okay.
Now, are we gonna do this in phases as far as not putting it all in at one time? So maybe the pickleball could be one phase and something else could be another phase. I was just wondering if that's the way it was originally planned.
Well, the original plan was to, the splash pad was phase 1, the band shell phase 2, and then the area in between was phase 3, is that right?
The additional amenities, some of those we even broke down a little bit more. It's really gonna depend on what funding would come in at, right? So we've been budgeting some funds annually. I don't know that, I'm not sure, I think we reached out to Arrowhead for some costing, cause they put in a series of courts, what those courts actually cost. It might take 2 years to get to that funding
Okay.
of setting aside.
Are you familiar with the ones at Arrowhead?
Oh, yeah, yes.
And you like
Yeah, they have
those,
6 courts, so.
and those work good? You like the layout?
Oh, they're,
Any-
I mean, we had old cracked tennis courts that nobody used, so certainly it's a major upgrade, and I think that those courts will have an impact on what the town needs to do, because you're gonna have most of your Lake Arrowhead people probably playing there, obviously. Just as an aside, our pickleball club, I helped start it some years ago, and then I left, and then we had COVID, and, everything just sort of faded away, as most things did. And I got going again last October, and this week I signed up our 115th dues-paying member.
Wow.
So don't underestimate the number of people who will play, certainly. But a lot of those are Lake Arrowhead people. Our club we're planning on meeting, I met with the Lake Arrowhead folks, and we're gonna play there. Lake Arrowhead members and their guests, who are the rest of our people, so to speak. So that's a lot of courts for this area. A year ago, or 2 years ago, I would have said, don't even think about building 2 courts. It couldn't possibly be enough, But with 6 already here, 2 is probably, more is better. But obviously, you have to work within the parameters of your finances, so. I would not recommend lights. They're extremely expensive. When we had lights out at the old tennis courts at the Chalet, when they still worked, and you turned them on, you got every bug within the county joining you in the evening.
Yeah.
In Florida, where I play, we have lights, and we play sometimes at night, because, it's hot. But in Wisconsin, you've got your light till 9 o'clock in the summer, and you're only playing in the summer. So you'd be looking to play after 9 o'clock at night, and they're very, very expensive to put in. So, and people leave them on, you have to put them on timers, you have all kinds of other issues too. You should do some fencing. Doesn't have to be tall fence. A lot of people just put in 4 foot or 5 foot fencing just to keep the balls in and keep kids from running out in between you, that kind of a thing. Other than that, you need a flat surface and nets. Not a lot of people are doing the dual-purpose tennis pickleball courts. I used to play tennis, now I play pickleball, so I don't have that bias some people have, that it's gotta be one or the other. But to give you an example, when we opened up the courts at the Chalet, I got a call from Joel, and he wanted some pictures to put in the Lake Arrowhead newsletter of the pickleball, people playing pickleball. Well, I just put a note on we have a GroupMe site, and I put it on, and we had all 6 courts going, which is 6 times 4, 24, and we had at least that many people waiting again, so we probably had 50 people that day. A few days later, I said to Joel, when are you gonna put pictures of the tennis courts with people playing on it? He says, I don't know if we got really anybody playing on the tennis courts, because, they built the new ones right across the street from the clubhouse. I have never seen a tennis player on there, but you can make them dual usage. I mean, it does work, so you gotta make the footprint a little bigger, because what you generally do is you have a regular tennis court and you put a pickleball court perpendicular on each side of so you use the tennis net as the division between the 2 pickleball courts.
Okay.
So it works just fine.
So if we had 2 tennis courts, you could actually do 4 pickleball courts.
Yes, but the tennis courts are gonna have to be a little bit bigger than the
Oh,
norm.
than norm.
You're gonna have to have a
Okay.
little more room on the sides. But
Okay.
yeah, that could be done.
And the other piece will just be space. we talked about doing a basketball court and then the tennis court, which would be 2 pickleball courts. Remember, we also, we'll have septics out there, and that takes up some land mass, and I don't know that we wanna build on top of them.
Yeah, I
So-
don't think that's recommended.
Yeah.
No.
And then we'll have the trail, like the walking trail too, so the other piece is just size, right? I don't know, we could get, if you're the basketball court, I don't know you could get more than 2 pickleball.
Right,
So that
is
would be
fine.
1 tennis court and 2 pickleball.
right.
You can put 2 pickleball courts on 1 tennis court, yes.
That's what I would probably
But
recommend.
again, you gotta make
yeah.
the tennis courts a little bit
Yep.
bigger
Bigger.
than the norm, so I mean, it's a much cheaper way to, to get both.
Is-
Up at Witter Field, I play sometimes at Witter Park, and they were gonna put in 8 pickleball courts, 6 pickleball courts and a tennis court, which is what they did. They've actually said now maybe they should've just went with the 8 pickleball courts, cause the tennis courts are largely unused.
Can that be included in that survey that goes out? Or can't that be included with the updating the outdoor recreation plan?
It could be, I mean, I think this is 5 years ago, there probably wasn't the I didn't see pickleball being played on TV like I do now, right? 5 years ago.
All the commercials, the
Right.
ads, the sale, yeah.
So if we put these amenities in, they're not gonna change quickly. That's my other thought, is if you do have the dual purpose, if there is a resurgence in tennis, you
Right.
would still have
Then
the
you're
ability
okay.
to play.
Right.
Yes.
You hate to, it's hard to see trends sometimes. And being prepared for, like you said, maybe we get a bunch of tennis players. I don't know.
You're right, things change. Pickleball can't grow at the rate it's growing. It just can't.
Right.
I mean, there's places down in the villages, they built 80 new pickleball courts this year already, and it's March. I mean, it's just, Witter Park up in Wisconsin Rapids built 6, and now they're regretting putting a tennis court for 2, but they could have made one of those dual purpose, you're right. I mean, there are some tennis players somewhere, but I'm sorry.
I'm not familiar with pickleball, so can you kind of tell me what the difference is between that and tennis?
Pickleball, the game is called, it's got a ball, it looks, no, I give over 100 people lessons in pickleball now. I'll start with the very basics, okay? How pickleball became named pickleball, because it's the dumbest name in the world for a sport. State of Washington, back in the 70s, 4 guys decided to have a birthday party for their sons. So they wanted to play badminton. They set out a badminton court, which is now exactly what a pickleball court looks like.
Okay.
They went and put their nets up, and they went and got the shuttlecocks, the little, we used to call them birdies when we were kids.
Oh,
They didn't-
yep.
They didn't have any. They went
Oh,
back in the
jeez.
garage and they got some baseball wiffle balls and some ping pong paddles. And those guys are all multi-millionaires now. So it's a badminton sized court that you play. It basically is like miniature, it's basically between ping pong and tennis.
Okay.
But the rules were made originally for these little kids, which is why it became immediately popular with seniors. That didn't sound good for us, did it? They have funny rules, like in tennis, you see the ace, where the guys come up and they put the ball up and they slide the ball
Yes.
through, and many points are scored in tennis like that. That's the most boring shot in the world. In pickleball, you have to serve it with a bounce.
Okay.
You have to bounce it and serve it.
Okay.
And so the game is easier. The ball you can hit the ball reasonably hard, but not anything like a tennis ball. So the whole game is slower. It's tend to be played with doubles. So
Okay.
you're only covering, as I'm covering the space, I'm only covering 10 feet from side to side. So I'm only going from here to here. It's
Okay.
only, 15 feet back, so you stand in the middle, you've only got a little space on each side of you. So you get long volleys, you get long hits, and I've taught the game to seniors, I've taught it to elementary schools, I've taught it to middle schools. I mean, it's taking over from both ends and coming to the middle.
Okay.
And like you said, now you're seeing professionals, there are people making livings at pickleball now, which they didn't used to. The tournament in Florida, when we were down there, we didn't go because we couldn't get tickets, but there were tens of thousands of people watching this. It's extremely fine. It's not a great sport to watch, it really isn't.
Kind of like golf.
Kind of like golf. Well, tennis isn't all that exciting to watch either, but because of the smallness of the court, you can get 100 hit, the professionals can get 100 hit volleys, where you'll hit that ball back 100 times to each other
Okay.
before somebody scores a point. And that that is kind of fun to watch.
Sounds interesting.
Fastest growing sport in the country
try
in
it?
the last 4 years.
Yes.
I tell people it's addicting.
Yeah.
It's addicting. Everybody who starts playing it, because the learning curve is just, it's simple. You just,
And there's no reason we couldn't start with, and if it got that popular and was that crowded, we could add at some other point in time.
Well,
but-
the fact that Arrowhead has those other courts, like you said, maybe it's just nice to have that amenity there, but I don't think that we need to get crazy. If there was really a need for a lot of courts in town, maybe we would try to do more.
or, clubs
Yeah.
like ours eventually are gonna, we're dues paying, we're collecting small amounts of money. Down the road, we might start looking at, charging more and maybe helping with that or doing something with that. We're probably gonna have, by the time you do get working on this, well, a few $1,000s in the bank, and we will certainly be willing to donate that to, things like benches, fences, the things that, that would be helpful. That's why we're collecting money, because we knew something was gonna happen over there and we wanted to be able to help.
Or help with a fundraiser or something too, yeah.
Well, if we got 115 people right now,
Yep.
and some of them are couples, many aren't, so you're talking, we got 200 families at this point in time.
Yep.
It's a nice size group.
We played yesterday, and I signed up the lady whose husband is the new general manager at the new golf course.
He's the superintendent for
Superintendent?
the Sedge. Yep.
Okay, and I signed up somebody from your police department,
Yep.
Heather.
Yep.
Yeah, the people are just, I was putting notes in the Lake Arrowhead newsletter and stuff, and once in a while on Camelot and Sherwood, I quit doing that, because we've got more people coming now than we know what to do with, honestly. And the lessons are, we're doing them like crazy, and they're bringing in more people, so yeah, it's just continuing to grow. It's gonna be a good problem, it's gonna be a very good problem, so. Most people don't get hurt. First thing we teach people is how
Find
not
a
to
way.
fall down, that's the big one, is falling down, so.
Camelot has courts
They've got a
too.
couple.
Yep. So.
They made a huge mistake, they made them east-west, so you can't play over there without sun in your eyes.
Okay.
In the morning it's in one way, and in the evening it's in the other. It makes them almost unplayable on clear days. Because if you got the sun in your eyes, you can't play the game.
No.
I don't know who did that, it's just the first elementary mistake someone could make, so. Arrowhead, that wasn't a problem, because the tennis courts were already the right direction, so we were able to, right, so. If you haven't seen them, you should go out there and look at them before you build them. They're very nice.
We'll definitely have to.
And the ones at Whitterfield too are extremely
Very
nice.
nice.
So.
The name of the organization, is it Rome Pickleball?
Rome Pickleball Club.
And then in your name, sir?
Ron
Okay.
Blair, B-L-A-I-R.
Mr. Blair.
Ron. I've heard Jamie call me a lot of things.
Well, that's great. We will keep in communication with you,
Okay,
and
yeah, I
as
was
things
gonna
move
say,
forward, if we have questions or if we need to do fundraising or whatever, we'll be
I'm
in
also an
contact.
ambassador with the United States Pickleball Association, and we have a facilities director, a guy who, that's his whole job, is to help people if they're looking at building facilities. So, I don't think you need someone like that unless you run into some questions about specifically surfaces, and there's things out there. Have you heard of Sport Court? That's what they put out at Lake Arrowhead. It's just a disaster. It looks good, but the ball doesn't bounce on it, which is kind of a problem when you're playing games,
So that's something you'd change from what they did at Arrowhead?
Thank God.
At Arrowhead at the campground is the
Okay.
sport
Still
court.
sports court.
So the new ones are good.
They're a epoxy. It looks like paint, but it's basically an epoxy, almost like a putty that goes over asphalt
Yeah.
or concrete.
Okay.
But they put sports court in some years ago, and
At the campground.
they put it in at the clubhouse too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was what was on the tennis courts at the clubhouse, and it immediately resulted in the courts not being used at all, because the ball bounced funny. You never see anybody play tennis. I live right next to the club, and there's never anybody playing tennis over there. It's a terrible surface, and when I heard they were gonna redo the courts out at the Arrowhead, I went and sat in Joel's office until he came back and said, I hope, because they had taken the sports court when they ripped it out at the clubhouse and stored it. And I thought, are you gonna put that out there? Because if you are, we're not gonna play on it. We'll go play in the middle of the road before we'll play on that. And I said, don't use it, it's terrible. And I went to our ambassadors, this facilities guy, and he sent me 100 quotes from different places that use sports court. Not one of them was positive. And he said, no, we learned our lesson. And then he called me one day and said, we're gonna put some sports court out at the new pickleball courts. I said, what? Well, they used it for sidewalk on the way.
He was joking.
Oh, he used it for sidewalks on the way
Yeah,
down, which was
yeah.
perfect, because it was,
Right.
getting a little muddy out there, and it,
Right.
so, but I can get all that information for you to the United States Pickleball Association, if and when you do need it, but there are companies that specialize in courts.
And we
tennis courts, pickleball courts, that's what Lake Arrowhead
Be
is.
careful with the basketball court too, to make sure it's got the right surface too then.
Yeah, Ron, I remember when you first started pickleball here at the town hall many years ago. When you used the town hall for a pickleball course, you had it right here. So I mean,
Still do?
right. But
In
I
the
mean,
wintertime?
I remember that's how it first got started in the town of Rome.
Yep, yep, yep.
You were instrumental in that. So
And we couldn't, the courts out at Lake Arrowhead were, actually, this is probably before you're still an owner there, right? You're in Lake Arrowhead.
Yep, I'm
But
in.
I went to a meeting some years ago and a motion was made to rip the courts out at the chalet and just eliminate them because of their lack of use. And they got it tabled because that wasn't the time or the place to talk about it. But there were cracks that were 2 inches wide and you could literally catch your toes in it. And we plugged them and used masking tape, duct tape, and made courts out of them and played on it. I mean, people wanted to play. People coming back from Florida, Arizona, Texas, snowbirds, they're all coming back playing pickleball.
Yep.
I mean, it's just crazy. It's just, will it end? Who knows? So something will come on. Something with even a number name.
That's very helpful.
Yes.
Yes,
right,
Very
we,
thank you.
we appreciate your advice.
Yeah,
Yep.
if I can help, or if we need some people, for fundraising and those kind of
Mm-hmm.
things, I'm sure we can come up with a bunch. And if any of you guys wanna come and play, tomorrow morning, 8:30, and 10 o'clock, and Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday.
My boss might have a problem with that, but,
I'll write you a note.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, anything else on that one then? All right, we're down to dates and items for future agenda meetings. Next meeting, agenda items. Do we need to change anything? Night, Ron.
Do we need to add anything?
Add anything?
Number 11 could come off.
Yep, okay,
Oh,
we're done
yes.
with number 11, yep.
Other than that, I would think it's fairly similar.
Okay,
And we would be really close to starting back up, restarting construction next time, so.
construction updates or something like that,
Yeah.
okay, yep, regular. Mhm. Okay, proposed next meeting date and time, Monday, April 10th.
Will Bob be back?
Bob will be back. That's really only 2 weeks though. I don't
Yeah.
know if the 17th is
I wonder if we shouldn't try it, yeah.
out of question, cause it's really only 2 weeks.
Plus it's Easter Monday,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, I don't know.
Would anybody be opposed to the
To
17th?
switching it to the 17th?
I would,
Okay with
no
that?
problem.
Maybe let's do that.
Yep.
All right. Is there anything else we need to talk about? All right. I'll adjourn the meeting at what time?
5:48.
All right, 5:48.